Hello and welcome to 10 for 10, 10 sports topics with the News 10 sports team. I am sports director Griffin Haas. He is sports reporter, sports anchor, all-around good guy Brian Rudman.
Oh, thanks. You're an all-around good guy, too.
Thank you. I just, start the show. There's not a lot that we could just talk about each other.
It was a slow
There's
week.
not a lot going on in the
we
Capital
just
Regional
talk about
sports scene,
ourselves.
so we're just trying to buy some time here. No, obviously a lot going on. Gerry McNamara officially taking the job at his alma mater, Syracuse. He's the new head coach at Syracuse University. And, this is obviously has picked up a lot of steam over the last couple of weeks with, what GMAC was able to accomplish with Siena. Yeah. They win the MAC championship, and then the next day, Syracuse fires Adrian Autry. But this had been, even in the weeks before, as Autry's seat was red hot.
Yeah.
Even going into this season, more fans were talking about, the possibility of if this season doesn't go well for Autry, what could be next. And this was something that I think was a possibility.
Yeah, I think Adrian Autry, it was a hot seat going into the season. Syracuse needed to perform. So I think going into the season, you knew there was a possibility that job might become open. And then you start thinking about who the potential candidates could have been. And Gerry McNamara's name, of course, would come up in that conversation. He had spent 15 years as an assistant coach. He's now a head coach with, he was at that point a head coach with Siena. And, for those in the Capital Region who had been following Siena basketball, knew this had the potential to be a really good year for this team. And you start adding the possibilities together. And it certainly wasn't the wildest idea going into the season to say, if Syracuse struggles and Siena has a great year, then this could be coming. And that is exactly what happened. And, I think if you're a Siena fan, you're happy for what Gerry McNamara gave this university. And I mean, I can't think of a better fit for both sides when it comes to who's taking over the Syracuse program.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. So as we were saying, the timeline of things works out where Gerry wins a MAC championship and the spotlight's on his program, and the next day they fire Adrian Autry, and even at the time he said, I'm trying to ignore it, and obviously those things are going to be said. Obviously there are conversations being had with agents and stuff like that, but the truth is he didn't want to be a distraction for his guys, and it wasn't, because you saw the way they went out and they played against Duke. It certainly was not a distraction. No. He said after, he's like, well, those guys weren't distracted. And, again, I've seen a lot of people say that, that game against Duke, what a great audition for Gerry. In my opinion, they could have lost by 30, and that wouldn't change my opinion on Gerry McNamara being a great fit for
agree.
Syracuse. Gerry McNamara came in. I've been here 4 years, and the last year when Siena went 4-28 was bad. It was not a good season. The program was down, and they hired Gerry McNamara, and Gerry came in and said, "I'm here to win." Simple. It's a quote we've heard many times now at this point.
Yeah,
we've played it back as we've looked back and do the montages and all that stuff. And he said, anybody who knows me knows, this is who I am. He's a competitor. He's the ultimate competitor. And it even from the opening press conference, it gave a juice to the program. This guy's legit. I mean, he's a college basketball folk legend and one of the greatest players to ever, do it at the college level. 2,000 points at Syracuse. He had they went through MVP Arena to win that national championship. So it was already a cool full circle moment. But he's taking over a team that won 4 games. The transfer portal can hurt mid-majors, but this is where it kind of helped them, where they were able to get some transfers in. They were able to get some building blocks. They identify guys like Gavin Doty, who was a freshman, in Gerry's first year. They keep Brendan Coyle, but they get a guy like Justice Schultz. But they're able to retain him with, some support around the program. And he laid a foundation in the first year, and then in year 2 was able to add around that core.
Yeah.
And build this team into a championship caliber team. And on day 1 of official practice, he said, this group is capable. We have to do the work, but they're capable. And Gerry's teams always do the work. They show up every single day. They work extremely hard. And they do the little things because they buy into what he's selling. And I just think, as we've both, seen what Gerry's been able to do, here's what I would say. Here's what I would say to Syracuse fans. I almost think in this case, Gerry's almost hurt by how much he means to Syracuse.
Yeah, almost.
And what I mean by that is, obviously people are really excited for him to come home, and he means so much to the program in the area. But because of all of that, it's solely being looked at as Gerry McNamara is coming back here, and some fans are almost treating it as, well, Gerry's coming back here because he used to play for Syracuse and he was a Syracuse great, and it just makes sense because he's a Syracuse guy and we're keeping it within the family, and that's why he's coming back. If Gerry McNamara's name was Joe Smith,
right,
he would be an incredible fit for this team based on what he was able to do at Siena, taking a 4-win team, taking that step forward in year 1, building them into a champion in year 2. This team last year was the most connected team, the closest team I've ever seen covering really college sport, any type of sport.
Yeah.
And it starts with him because he's a genuine person who works extremely hard. It does help. This is where it does help to have the name Gerry McNamara because they know that he's done it at the highest level. He pours into his guys and shows how much he cares about them and how much he wants it for them.
Yeah.
And in turn, they pour back into him and have that same genuine care, genuine love for him. And it creates an environment of everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
Everyone's connected. You would see guys at practice who weren't even getting minutes, and everyone they're having a great time.
Yeah.
They're working extremely hard, but there was a genuine, everybody has the next guy's back mentality. Yeah. On top of the fact that he was able to recruit high-level talent. He took that high-level talent, recruited it, and then built a culture of connectivity and genuine care for the guys around each other. And that showed all year long. It's not just because they won a championship.
Right.
It showed all year long. It was obvious. And the way that Gavin Doty talks about, who we'll talk about in a second, or the way that he talks about Gerry, the way that Gerry talks about him, the way they talk about each other, the way they compliment each other, the way that it's you see it a lot, but sometimes you can tell when people are just saying things, and it was beyond just what they said about each other, about how they showed it, how hard they played. And again, he said from the beginning, after the win against Brown in his very first game, he said, my teams are always going to play until the very end. And that was true until the very end of the tenure against Duke.
Absolutely.
They gave him everything that they had, and that starts with him. So Syracuse, regardless of who he is, regardless of what he did during his playing days and how long he's been there and how long he was there as an assistant, put all of that aside. Just as a head coach, if you want a guy who's going to be able to recruit high-level talent and build that high-level talent into a connected unit that plays extremely hard, plays defense, efficient offensively, and does it for each other. And again, that culture piece to it, there is no better candidate in my mind than Gerry McNamara.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in the sense of, from a fan base perspective, fans are viewing this as some of them, right, the portion that doesn't want or didn't want someone else who had been within Syracuse, just viewing it as this is just another Boeheim guy who they're bringing in because he was here. Throw that away. I completely agree with you. I think we see a lot of teams talk about we're a family, we're close, this chemistry. This is about as true as that's ever been in terms of teams that I've had the privilege to cover. And I think buy-in is the other words that I would use to describe this group. They were 100% bought into what Gerry was telling him. And I think, McNamara would oftentimes talk about how you have to have the right kids and the right athletes in the room. And he absolutely had that. But he brought them in. He identified those guys, not just talented basketball players, but guys who had the right mental makeup to play basketball for Gerry McNamara. And I think if you're a Syracuse fan, if you look at what he did with Siena, it'll obviously have to be done a little differently. Syracuse, a lot more money involved, ACC, bigger conference. You're kind of hoping he does exactly what he did at Siena at Syracuse, where in year one, you're building that foundation, and then you find a way to keep those guys together and take that next step.
Well, that's another piece of it, is something you said, is that he always, talks about the players. You started the culture, but the players build it. But you said it. They recruited.
Yeah.
He brought those guys in there. He identified those guys. When you look at, I'm going to compare him to another coach real quick, just because this is something I saw that really bothered me. But you take a guy like Kevin Willard, who makes a joke about, during the game, during their loss at Villanova, that he's like, I'm going to fire my staff. That's because we're giving up too many points off out of bounds plays. Whether it's a joke or not, there's truth in that. And he made the same joke at the press conference, kind of putting it on somebody else.
Yeah.
Gerry McNamara, the entire time he was here, especially at the end because he was getting so much recognition nationally and otherwise, he accepted all of the blame if there was ever blame to be taken, and he took none of the credit. He gave all of the credit to his assistant coaches and to his players. When they beat Merrimack, he credited Ben Lee for coming up with the game plan to put Francis Folafak on Kavere Kennedy.
Which was brilliant.
Gave the credit to his staff, talked about his guys. With both the championship win and the Duke loss, which was a great game, he, again, with the culture piece, gave all the credit to his guys. They bought in. But then you had to be buying what somebody's selling. He's the one who's selling it. But he, in my opinion, you want somebody who is a head coach should take, like he did and like he does, you take the blame, you give the credit elsewhere. You redirect the credit. He gets credited with, out-coaching John Shire, who said it himself. He gets asked about it, and he says it's the guys who just walked out of the room. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that builds accountability. That's why guys want to play for him. Yeah. So I'm passionate about it because there's a lot of stuff people who don't maybe see that kind of stuff, who haven't been following Siena for the last 2 years, who are just Syracuse fans and just know Gerry from, being the Syracuse legend that he is, and then all of a sudden have watched the last week or two with the MAC championship and the
probably just
and
most
all
of them
they know
probably
are those two things. That those are all the things, and that's fine. I'm not even criticizing it because I get it. But as people who have watched it up close, it just has felt very special, and there's no one I would bet on more, especially at Syracuse, because obviously the Gerry McNamara part comes into it there, than with Gerry McNamara. And also, I just want to say, from our perspective, couldn't have been a nicer guy, couldn't have been a more genuine person, someone that you talk to on the side before or after the availabilities. He's not someone who just showed up, did the media availability, and walked away. Like, there was never an air of being better or whatever. He's just the guy he was in front of the mic was the same guy that I was talking to 2 minutes ago before he walked up there. So we always appreciate that. He was great with us. So I wish him, and I know the same for you, nothing but the best at Syracuse. So I now when you look at the Syracuse aspect, there still needs to be the money there to be successful. Right. Like, that's always a piece of it. It seems like they raised a lot of money on their giving day right when they announced. Good day to announce Gerry McNamara on giving day. Well timed. Tip of the hat. So the money piece needs to be there, but now you're going to see Kaya and Anthony stay. Yeah. We'll get to Gavin Doty in a second. As long as he has the money, I am so confident that Gerry McNamara is going to crush it. Yeah. Also, this is another thing, because I knew there were a lot of things I wanted to touch on. I'm trying to rack my brain for all of them. He learned a lot from Jim Boeheim, for sure. No doubt about it. And that is a mentor of his. Gerry McNamara is nothing like Jim Boeheim. No. Like, and that's not a good thing or bad. I'm not saying like anything negatively against Jim Boeheim or whatever. They're not the same guy.
No.
Siena was not constantly running the 2-3 zone.
No.
They maybe mixed in some zone.
They would switch it up when the man-to-man wasn't working.
They knew how to attack his zone because of Jerry's experience with his zone. But this is not Jim Boeheim who's going in there and just running the zone. Jerry is a personable, very like player connected. Jim Boeheim, I'm not saying he's not. He was an older coach by the end of his tenure, and Jerry's a guy who's 40 years old. He relates to the guys. Like they relate to him. There's a different type of bond. He is a player's coach. He demands a lot from his players, but he is a player's coach. You can
see it after the MAC championship.
He is very, very different.
He's joking with his guys.
He's very different than Jim Boeheim. So the whole thing of like, oh, another Boeheim guy, he is not Jim Boeheim.
No.
He's not. And he's his own person. And he's learned things from Jim Boeheim. He talked about the consistency of every day in the tournament and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are things to take from a guy who is a great coach.
Of course.
He's not the same guy.
No.
So that was another part of it. Jerry will be introduced on Monday, and we are going to be there. So I'm excited to see that because, again, I also like that he's going to a place, I think for a lot of fans, a lot of people in the area also root for Syracuse or pay attention to Syracuse basketball. He's not going far.
No. You
can't blame him. And another thing, he was on the Orange Nation show on QSportsTalk.com, and he was talking about, like, this wasn't an easy decision.
Right.
You might think, oh, he went to Syracuse. He lived in Syracuse he was an assistant there for 15 years. He played there. That's an easy decision. It's his alma mater. Of course he wants to go back. He said it was not easy because he loves Siena. He loves Loudonville. He put out a great statement on his Instagram about how much this community has meant to him, how much they embraced him. It was emotional taking his family to a new place, and everybody embraced him and made it easy for them and their family. And he said that he asked, he had his wife, he talked to his wife, Katie, and they sat their kids down and they let them make the decision.
Yeah.
If they said we want to stay at Siena and we want to stay in the capital region, they would have stayed.
Right.
And that says a lot about how much he loved it here and how much he loved Siena that he would have been willing to forego an opportunity like this.
Yeah.
Obviously, his kids made the decision they did. And he said he was happy they did.
Right.
He wanted to go back to Syracuse. That is home for not only him, but his family. They lived there for their entire lives up until this point and moved to a new place.
Yeah.
And it was great while I was here. And I think it's kind of nice because I can't imagine, I haven't come across any Siena fans that have any ill will. It's like, thank you.
Of course.
Round of applause. We appreciate what you did.
Yeah.
And it's also, again, because if he had taken a job at Boston College,
right,
I think it would be like, oh, that's kind of whatever. Right. But the fact that he's going to Syracuse, it's like no one can, you can't blame the guy.
It makes sense. It's just, you got to be happy for him.
He came here and he promised and he said he was here to win. He won. Yeah. He did what he wanted to do. He said that. I did what I wanted to do here. He went to the tournament for the first time in 2010. Now this is the life of a mid-major to some degree where this is what happens a lot of times when you get good. So I wish Jerry all the best. And,
absolutely.
We'll be following along because I think someone else is going to be following him.
Yeah.
And his name is Gavin Doty.
A lot of juice going to the dome.
Gavin Doty announced that he is going to enter the transfer portal. I'm trying to think of how to say this because I have to balance our journalistic side of things with my opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion is he's going to go to Syracuse. Like, we don't have to be on Doty watch here, in my opinion. I'm going to keep saying that.
Opinion.
This is my opinion.
I would also like to add.
This is not reporting.
I share his opinion.
Gavin Doty has said multiple times that he would not want to play for anybody else other than Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry has said there's no one who reminds him more of himself as a player that he's ever come across than Gavin Doty.
Yep.
The way that they talk to each other, whether it's about each other on camera, to each other off camera, at practice, whatever it is, they're very, very close.
Yeah.
There is just simply I would be shocked if he doesn't go to Syracuse. Not to mention he's from Fulton.
Yeah.
Not to mention that when he posted it on Instagram, Kion Anthony commented and said, "Yeah."
I think JG3, I think it was, also commented.
JG3 commented. Not to mention that Ryan Mesh, who is a 4-star commit to Siena, just opened up his recruitment. He's from Chittenango, also Syracuse area, also commented, on Gavin Doty's Instagram. These guys are going to follow Gerry. That is what it is. I mean, I see a lot of people like, do you think Doty's going to go? Yes, I do.
Yeah, and this happens with every coach, right? Like, regardless, this happens when a coach leaves, when there's a new struck, guys are transferring out, recruiting classes are changed. It is what it is. And Doty, even more so now with all the other factors with Gerry and Doty. This is just the world we live in.
And I've had people in the Syracuse sphere ask me, do I think Gavin Doty can start at Syracuse? And my answer was, one, I wouldn't put anything past Gavin Doty. Because Gavin Doty is a dog with a capital
dog.
D-A-W-G. I'm spelling it dog. He's a dog.
That's the correct spelling.
He is an absolute dog. He's a beast, and he's an.
It was on full display.
As Gerry said, he's a psycho, an absolute maniac competitor.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put anything past him. The other thing is my second point is that Gerry very much values guys that he can trust and guys that he knows are going to play extremely hard and set the tone. You cannot play for Gerry. He said it. If you're not going to play every second, every minute as hard as you possibly can, you're not going to get on the court. He knows that he has that in Gavin Doty and that Gavin Doty's going to bring that. It kind of reminds me of Brendan Coyle. He obviously was already at Siena when Gerry got there, but Gerry, he was one of the guys that stayed, and Gerry started him every game. And he talked about and when he was talking about in the NCAA tournament why he didn't substitute, he was like, I'm not taking BC out of the game because he was shooting the ball well, and I trust BC. I know the defense is going to bring me, and he understands me, and he understands what I want. And there's no one more that fits that than Gavin, so I think that would be another reason. 3, I think that Gavin's game translates where he's a 6'5" guard. He's not reliant on blow by his speed. Yeah. He can use his size. He hits turnaround contested jumpers. He finishes through contact. Like he doesn't do things where it's like, oh, this is a guy who's just dominating mid-major. Like he went and scored 21 points against Duke. So and that's a pretty good ACC team. In fact, the best ACC.
The best ACC team.
So whether he's the sixth man or he's the starter, Gavin Doty will have an impact.
Yeah, I think if
he goes there.
I think if our opinions are correct and Gavin Doty's transfer portal journey winds him back up at Syracuse, which, like you said, Fulton's 35 minutes north of Syracuse.
I would be shocked.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think regardless of whether he's a starter on that team, I think we can rely on him to make an impact. Because like you said, he's not reliant on, I'm just going to run right by you, I'm going to dribble past you, I'm just going to pull up from 3. He can score at all levels. He's a tough player. He's a tough kid. He's not afraid of contact. He finishes acrobatically and scores. And I also think he just has a motor that just does not stop. That was his first impression on me. I got here midway through his freshman year, and the first thing that struck me is even before he kind of settled into that dominant scoring player as that was developing his freshman year, it was the effort plays. And even on nights when he's not shooting the ball well,
he's a dog.
He's a dog. He's making impact play. I think there were a couple times in that Duke game where he's like kind of sneaking around as they're bringing up the ball up the court, and he's poking it free, and he's being aggressive, and he's making these hustle plays. To a casual viewer, someone who didn't watch Siena all year, who hasn't watched Gavin Doty's career, that may be just like, he's trying to get sneaky against Duke because he knows he's got to steal one, or maybe he thinks he's got to steal one. That's Gavin Doty against any opponent. I can't tell you how many times we've seen him make hustle play after hustle play that flip the game. And he's also just, you want to talk about bringing the juice back to the Dome, which, like, there needs to be some juice put into this program and this fan base. Gavin Doty, if he goes there, will do that, and the same with Gerry McNamara.
Yeah, and Doty's like an extension of him, not only in the way that he plays and all that, but, like, again, that just competitive mindset where it's like he truly was like, he said, I might be delusional. I think we can beat anybody. Yeah. Like, he does not go into any game thinking that they're going to lose. Yeah. And he does not. I heard, I forget if I read this or he said it in a post-game press conference, but Gerry said that he took him out at the end of a game when they were up by, like, they were down 15 with like a minute to go, and Gavin
I think I remember that.
Got mad. And he said that Gavin was like, "What do you mean? We just have to hit 5 threes?"
Yeah,
like he's never going to want to lose.
I don't know if it's the same story, but I know a different one. I remember I was at a media avail, and I think Gerry told the story of like, it was like a minute to go. We were down a handful, and Gavin was coming back to the huddle like, just 4 threes, guys.
Yeah.
4 threes. We got this. Like,
so,
that's his mindset.
Yeah. So and also, just like I said about Gerry, couldn't be a better kid. So, I mean, super nice, thanked us for covering the team after we interviewed him. The last time, at least at Siena, when they got back from the tournament, did kind of feel like a goodbye at the time.
Yeah, there was kind of a vibe.
It was kind of like, it was like, but again, it was very nice. He's a super nice kid who's always done, great with the media stuff and has kind of embraced it. And so again, it's almost like Siena it's like an extension of Siena if he goes there as well. So I will be excited to watch them, and I'll be pulling for Syracuse. But the Syracuse and Siena ties have not finished yet. So before we get into this, it is 12:32 in the morning on, I guess, Friday when we were recording this. Late night, after dark.
Another episode of 10 for 10 After Dark.
So this could be outdated information, so just keep that in mind.
Bear with us.
But as of Thursday night, Adam Zagoria, who is a trusted college basketball insider, he's contributed to the New York Times and Forbes. He's reported stuff in the past, especially this stretch of coaching hires and stuff. He is reporting that Mike Hopkins, Siena is targeting Mike Hopkins to be their next head coach. Targeting. It's not done. It's not official. Could be if you're watching this at 3 o'clock or whatever it might be.
Right.
Could be by then. So if it is, congratulations. But they're targeting Mike Hopkins. Mike Hopkins was the head coach of the Washington Huskies from 2017 to 2024. He went to the tournament once. He had a record of 118-106. And he's now an assistant coach for the Pelicans. More importantly than that, Mike Hopkins played at Syracuse from 89 to 93.
Yep.
He was an assistant under Jim Boeheim from 1995 to 2017.
Sounds familiar.
So 22 years, right? My math's right on that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in 1995. That's when he started being their coach. So he's got obvious ties to Syracuse. He was kind of the guy that was supposed to be the heir apparent to Jim Boeheim. That he was on the bench. Everyone's like, Mike Hopkins is going to be the guy. Mike Hopkins is going to be the guy. I think Jim Boeheim coached for a little bit longer than people expected.
Yeah.
And finally, Mike Hopkins couldn't wait and went to Washington.
Yeah.
So where Adrian Autry ended up getting the job, that very well could have been Mike Hopkins. And for years, it was rumored that he was going to be that guy. Also interesting, Mike Hopkins recruited a player in the early 2000s to Syracuse, and his name was Gerry McNamara.
Really? That name sounds familiar.
It
Griffin.
does.
Where have I heard that before?
He recruited GMAC to Syracuse, and he could be GMAC's replacement at Siena. Targeted, not official. Which would be very interesting. And you got to think, whether it's a recommendation or whatever, did Gerry put this in their ear? If that's the case, I'm sure he's going to sign off on it. From what I don't know, obviously I know Gerry. I don't know Mike Hopkins as well, other than just, following. But from what I've heard, him and Gerry are still very, very close. Right. As you can imagine from a guy who recruited him. And then they were on the coaching staff together.
Right.
Gerry, I think, started there in 2006, something like that.
No, that's when he graduated.
He graduated in 2006. So he started there in, I think, 2008. I could look that up. Yeah. It's on the internet, I think.
I think he played. Didn't he play 3 years overseas?
08, 09, who knows? Probably Google.
It was more than 5 years.
He was there for 15 years, and he left in.
Now we're trying to do math.
Yeah, we could have just looked it up.
They were on the coaching staff for more than 5 years.
He started in 09.
Okay.
So they coached together from 09 to 2017 when Mike Hopkins left. So they are very close.
Yeah.
Which I think would be a cool extension.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of what Gerry, they said they wanted to build on the momentum that Gerry had infused into the program. I think that would be a way to do it.
Yeah.
You also toy with the idea of, like, in an unofficial capacity, like, where college basketball is going. Could this be a spot where, Siena gets some talented freshmen in the era of the transfer portal? Those guys leave.
Yeah.
Him and Gerry's connection, maybe they go to Syracuse. Maybe they could say, hey, you come here, you play well.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to go somewhere else. Getting ahead of ourselves.
Right.
But there's obviously going to be a tie between the two programs.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome to see, again, if he gets this job, maybe they put a game on the schedule and play each other.
I'll be honest, that thought had crossed my mind even before this.
Yeah.
Because Gerry he's talked about loves Siena. That would be a really cool guarantee game for Siena to play.
Yeah, so I like that would be, and that's what's nice about this is that everything is on very good terms, and I think that Siena fans will always hold Gerry in a special place in their hearts, and vice versa. So, I think it would be a home run hire. I think that he was kind of mediocre record-wise at Washington, but that's a really tough place.
Yeah.
You're in a power conference that's not necessarily one of the big dogs in that conference.
Yeah.
At the time, that was Pac-12.
Yeah, so you're dealing with Arizona.
Yeah, and and USC, Oregon, there are other schools there that are kind of in the yearly mix. And this is very different at a mid-major level at Siena, where it's like to get a guy who he's been a head coach of a major program and took Washington to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
He was coached there for 7 years. The assistant coaching experience he has at Syracuse, knowing the area. Apparently, he's just a master recruiter. I mean, GMAC, other guys.
Seems like a good start.
Yeah. So knows the area, knows how to recruit, knows how to get guys. And then has had the NBA experience too.
Yeah,
that it kind of rounds you out in terms of I mean experience level. So I think it's just all around would be a fantastic hire.
Yeah, I mean I think you talk about Siena wanting to build on that momentum. In part, that means bringing in a guy who can kind of do similar things to what Gerry did here. Yeah. And you're talking about a guy who, like you said, can recruit. He knows the area. I mean, John Shire talked about being outcoached by Gerry McNamara. If this happens, this would be a guy who knows the X's and O's and can outcoach other coaches.
Yeah, recruit.
Because he's been there. Yeah. You're starting to see the building blocks, and I agree. I think it would be a great hire and a great way to build off of what is in place. And there's a lot of momentum with this program. There's a lot of energy around it. I think if that is the hire, that type of hire continues that and builds on that and keeps the energy with the Saints program.
Yeah, and maybe there's some guys that, I'm not going to name names, but who haven't entered yet, who Gerry says, we don't have, it's not going to work out here, but you should stay and play for this guy.
Yeah.
And he gets a recommendation that might help them keep some players.
Sure.
And then obviously, recruiting guys, he's done it at a high level. So I think that, again, not official, but I think it would be a cool way to keep that connection to Syracuse, Gerry, just stay in that realm there. So it could be official by the time you're watching this. I don't know. I'm getting ready for a busy day, that's for sure. Just in case. So
Griffin is gearing up, ladies and gentlemen.
I would just say, outside of the report, I have heard some rumblings as well about Mike Hopkins. I don't know anything officially. It's not done. So again, not really adding anything. Just saying.
Yeah.
We've also heard some things. So we will see. We have to take a break. It's been a while. We went heavy on these first.
We've been rambling,
understandably so.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break. We are going to talk about UAlbany and just some general NCAA tournament when we come back. All right, welcome back to 10 for 10. We went heavy on those topics, so we're going to go quick, as understandably so. There's a lot going on. Albany.
Yeah.
We touched on it last week where Zach Matulu stays, so that was a big retention.
Big keep.
But Amir Lindsay, the leading scorer in the America East, I think should have been the player of the year in the America East Conference, but that's another story. He has entered, or at least announced, again, these people entering the transfer portal, whether it's Doty, Lindsay, it opens April 7th.
Right.
But Amir Lindsay has announced he plans on entering the transfer portal, and that's another thing. Guys who enter the transfer portal can go back.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're leaving.
Yeah.
I think Gavin Doty might leave.
Just our opinion.
Also looking at, just the posts from, Amir's agent, it seems like they're also, again, pushing to go somewhere else. That doesn't mean that Albany doesn't figure something out and retain him. If they were to lose Amir Lindsay, that would obviously be a huge loss.
Yeah.
But it's not a Albany thing. This is college basketball. This is what happens. A guy scores
especially
17,
in mid-majors.
Yeah, for mid-majors, a guy scores 17 points a game, and he wants to see what else is out there.
Yeah.
And he has the right to do that, and it does stink for a lot of mid-majors, but it also is good for the kids. I think it depends. This is a whole other discussion that you can get into about whether the transfer portal is good. I think too many people enter it where, guys who are, fringe guys, think
they're expecting to do the same thing.
I'm going to get this, or, I get money, but then they don't end up playing. Amir Lindsay's a guy who can play. I don't...
We're not saying that about Amir Lindsay.
Yes. Amir Lindsay's a guy that, it's you look at that and you say, okay, you put up the numbers.
He's a talented basketball player.
We understand that why you would do that. So it's a interesting thing. But you all there's not even really much to say other than the fact that is a bummer. He still could come back potentially, but it doesn't appear that way.
Yeah.
And Albany's going to have to hit the portal hard, and they're going to have to. It is a constant. It's not a Albany thing. It's not a Siena thing. This is the era of college basketball that we're in. You need to adapt year to year by bringing in freshmen, bringing in transfers, guys maybe who are at higher levels that didn't play as much, or guys who were at JUCO's Division II.
A guy like Riley Mulvey,
or Antonio Chandler on the opposite side of it, as far as the Division II side of it. So and they've done it, and I think I think they built a really talented roster this year that had a lot of injury problems, but this is what it is. It's rebuilding. You got to rebuild.
This is the world we live in.
Let's just go to the NCAA tournament. We are, again, recording this very late. You could say late at night or early in the morning. And we have
either would be accurate.
Our first teams to punch their ticket to the Elite Eight. Had to think about that for a second.
That's the round we're on.
Purdue, it's not a lot of... there's no Cinderellas. There's no big. I mean, shout out to Iowa.
Iowa 9 seed.
9 seed going to the Elite Eight, so that's awesome for them.
That's 3 straight upsets.
They beat Nebraska 77-71, although that was a pretty even game. They two Big Ten schools that are familiar with each other. Purdue just survives Texas. That game came down to the wire, tip-in buzzer beater. Illinois just took it to Houston. That was surprising. It was a 3-2. I thought it would be a good game, but they just took it. And Arizona. Blew the brakes off Arkansas. I had Houston to win it all, and I had Arkansas in my Final Four. You can take my bracket and put it through the shredder.
I will say, I have Arizona winning, and I have Illinois in the Final Four, so it was a not so bad day.
And I can instantly play on YouTube the song because I brought it up, the song "Nobody Cares About Your Bracket." We didn't play that yet. My ukulele song. You can still find it on YouTube. It's out there. I'm wearing a bow tie. In the picture. So tomorrow you get St. John's Duke, so you got a New York team in it, playing at 7 o'clock today if you're watching this. So Rick Pitino trying to take a New York team to the Final Four, another team to the Final Four for him. He's done it once or twice, or 3 or 4 times. So
he's got some experience
against a Duke team that Siena almost beat. Shout out. Alabama, Michigan State, UConn. You got a Tennessee, Iowa State. So a lot of great teams, a lot of great games.
Yeah.
All the teams that you think could win it all, except for maybe now Houston, and they're still in it. So not a lot of chalk.
Yeah,
it's a chalky NCAA tournament. But there have been some good games. Good moments along
absolutely. Favorites have won a lot, but there have been some tight contests.
And when favorites do win, people complain about the lack of underdogs. But when the favorites do win, you get really good games down the stretch.
Yes,
really
that's
good
true.
Teams. And that is where we're getting them now, and I think we're going to get more of them tomorrow. And then I think the Elite Eight is shaping up to be top notch. Yeah. And with that being said, we're going to take another break. Baseball is back.
Oh, yeah.
We're back in the saddle. It was Steven Tyler's birthday on Thursday. Shout out Steven Tyler. Happy birthday.
There you
go. New York Yankees 7, Giants 0 on the standalone Netflix opener.
I know you were a big fan.
It was awful. Just a quick rant. Netflix, we don't need you to bring in 4 wrestlers that I've never heard of. I might be old man yelling at cloud, but like, why don't you appeal to the baseball fan and not be like, "Ooh, don't worry, we have Jey Uso and he's going to yell, so you're going to love that." I know we said we were going to start the game at 8, but it's 8:30 and we have a wrestler on the pitching mound screaming with a mascot. And then we got Bert Kreischer. I like Bert Kreischer. He's running around like a maniac, yelling. We got taxis on the field because, I wonder what would say New York. Taxis. We got them coming out of the trolley. It was just like it was marketed to everybody who is not a baseball fan to try to bring in outside eyes. Let's just make it about the baseball. The commentary group was good. The pregame show seemed fine. Hated the theatrics. That's my old man rant. But as far as the game, Yankees win 7-0. Yeah. Aaron Judge over 5 and 4 strikeouts. And I'm not pointing out the negative to start, just to be negative. I'm saying that because when you can beat a Logan Webb team who's the ace of the Giants and is a top 10 pitcher in baseball, and you can score 6 runs off him, 7 runs total, win the game 7-0, and your ace pitches 6 1/3 scoreless, pretty good day. As good as you can draw it up. You know he's not going to do that again.
Right. Yeah, I think if you're a Yankee fan and someone tells you, well, Judge went 0 for 5 today and struck out 4 times, you're probably thinking you didn't win that baseball game.
Or you won like 1-0.
Yeah, or it was close.
We must have squeaked this one out.
But, I mean, the whole lineup outside of Judge was hitting. Max Fried looks like the ace you need him to be throughout the entire season. This is a good sign for the Yankees. And it's a good sign for this group because, Judge isn't going to struggle the way that, most likely isn't going to struggle the way that he did. He's not going to struggle the way that he did in this game.
No, I think he'll get a hit at some point.
I think at some point,
have a hit this year.
Probably.
I think Aaron Judge might have a hit.
Maybe.
He goes 0 for 5 every night.
Every single game. Oh, my God. Boy, would we need to get Tommy on the program for that.
Yeah, that would be good. We'll get him on 10 for 10.
No, but, I think it's also a good sign that, if you get to October and there's a game when Judge is struggling, but it's a game you have to have, this lineup shows the ability to win a game without the production of Aaron Judge. And when it comes down to it for this team, this is a talented group. I am a Red Sox fan. I don't like admitting the Yankees are good, but this is a good team. They're going to be there in October. And I think what they do there is what's going to define this group. It's not going to be about what they do in the regular season. It's about whether they can actually finally get over the hump in the postseason. And everything outside of Judge striking out 4 times, it's one game, but everything is a good sign from this team.
Yeah, and I'll say, obviously the narrative is the Yankees are just running it back. You get McMahon for a full year. You get Caballero, who's better than Volpe. Yeah. But that was, listen, it was the group who lost in the playoffs. So I understand the hesitancy towards just bringing the same team back. But they were a good team. They scored more runs than anybody in the American League. So they brought back a good offense. Obviously, Yankee fans and anybody, they should have added, in my opinion. They should have added more. They should have done more. They are the Yankees. Now they're the second spender in New York, but that's another story. But so they should have done more. But this is going to be a team that's going to be there. It's going to be the same story with the Yankees that we do every year.
Yeah.
Are they going to break through or not? And they haven't. And that's just a fact. And nothing. They could win 110 games, and none of it will matter unless they at least make it or win a World Series.
Yeah, I think it's win a World Series. This Judge and Boone, they've been to the World Series.
But if you make it, it's disappointing. But at least you listen, we got there. But
it's true. But I think at this point, it's for this to be a successful year, it's got to be a World Series. And I think we talk about it. All that matters is October. You talk about them winning 110. Winning 110 would matter significantly as compared to last year because they would be set up significantly better for success. Last year, they had to battle the Red Sox in the wild card.
I'm not saying you don't.
Right. No, I know what you're saying. I'm just more so. I want to make the point of this group needs to set themselves up better for success in the postseason. Last year, they had to battle the Red Sox in the wild card, and then they had to face the Blue Jays on the road. This year, if the AL East is very good, the AL is very balanced. If the Yankees are going to make it through, they have to set themselves up better for success in October.
Win 110 games, Yankees. You won't.
Please don't.
We're going to go on to the New York Mets. The New York Mets. What a beautiful team. They went 11-7. They were up 11-5 until the 9th, and they gave up 2 runs with one of their middle relievers. But I digress. I think it was about as great of a game as you could draw up for the Mets. I will start with the one, not even negative, but one not so great. Freddie Peralta, their new ace, 5 innings. He gave up 4 runs, 7 strikeouts, 2 home runs. He gave 2 home runs to the same guy, 2 mistake pitches, and the first one barely got out. I was shocked that it did. It was a fly ball. I'm like, he's going to catch this, and all of a sudden it just kept carrying. It got out.
Yeah.
Freddie Peralta is going to be better. The stuff was there. He made a couple mistakes. Not worried about Freddie Peralta. So just get that out of the way. In terms of the lineup, I think that there was when they lost Pete Alonso, when the Mets lost Pete Alonso and traded Brandon Nimmo, and all of a sudden all these guys were going. Before they brought in new faces, it was like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They built a lineup that instead of having, a bunch of 1 or 2 guys who were going to hit a bunch of home runs, but would go through more prolonged slumps, they built a deep lineup filled with guys that are known for not striking out a ton and competing in at bats and working good at bats. And that is what they did in the first inning to chase Paul Skeens. They scored 5 innings in the first. Paul Skeens, the NL Cy Young Award winner, maybe the best pitcher in baseball, didn't make it out of the first inning.
Really impressive.
Lindor walks, Soto with a base hit, Robert Bichette sac fly, just handing to the next guy. Polanco gets Robert works an incredible walk to, he was down 1-2, gets it to 3-2, walks, loads the bases. O'Neal Cruz helped out.
Yes, for sure.
Brett Beatty hit it over his head. He started in on the ball, went over his head.
Rule 1, first step
triple.
back.
3 RBI triple. And then the next play, it was even worse. There was a fly ball that was literally straight to him, and he said he couldn't see it in the sun, and it dropped in for Marcus Semien. But this Mets lineup is long.
Yeah.
It is deep. They hand it to the next guy. They're competing, which is something that I think will lend well over 162 games, where you're not worried about, is Pete going through a slump? Is he hot? Same thing with Nimmo, was very streaky. They just went through streaks as a lineup where they were red hot or they were awful.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's going to be the case because all of these guys work really good at bats. And that's not a slight to Pete. I love Pete. I love Brandon Nimmo. But they needed to change the core. And then Carson Bench, the X factor, in my opinion, to the season. 19th overall prospect in baseball. When you already have a very good team and you can get a rookie and he can play at a very high level, that is what can really raise your ceiling as a group. And he homers in his first game. He was going nuts. I mean, I just imagine you worked your whole life to get to opening day in the big leagues and you homer in your first game. I mean,
that's incredible.
It was so cool to watch. He gets a curtain call in his first game. He walked twice. He stole a base. So incredible debut from him. That was awesome to see. Every single Met had an RBI except for Francisco Lindor, who walked 3 times and scored 3 runs.
As a leadoff hitter, which is...
I mean, and every single Met scored except for Bo Bichette and Marcus Semien, who had 2 hits in his debut. So, you could see how David Stearns went about building this lineup.
Yeah.
Luis Robert was awesome. If he hits the way, I mean, he's another X factor. If he can hit like he did a couple of years ago, look out. He's super athletic and great center fielder. So you can see how they built this thing, and it's game one, but it worked in the way it was supposed to. Brian, Red Sox, go.
Yeah, 3-0 win. I think, pitching wise, this is exactly how you draw it up, right? You got Garrett Crochet going, 6 scoreless, 8 Ks, 3 hits, works himself out of
Garrett
a jam.
Crochet is good at baseball. I can confirm. And my voice cracked.
Yeah.
I can confirm those two things. Crochet is good, my voice cracked. Go.
Yes, both are accurate. Yeah, listen, anytime Crochet takes the mound, if you can get, 6 or 7 innings and you leave with the lead, which is essentially what they did when they pulled him, and then Slayton, Whitlock, Chapman locking it down. I mean, just pitching-wise, this is exactly how you draw it up. Crochet for 6, hand it to the bullpen, they close it down. Lineup-wise, they didn't get a run until the 7th inning and then tacked on 2 in the 9th, but you look at what they did. Roman Anthony, 3 for 4 and a walk. He was on base 4 times. That's awesome. A couple of guys, were hustling out some infield hits. They had 12 hits on the day. They had guys on base throughout the day. They played pretty good defense. They didn't strike out a ton, especially in the big spots, and those were the 2 big issues last year is they struck out a lot with guys on base. Marcelo Meyer coming off the bench, 2 for 2, had the double to spark the first rally in the 7th inning. I think when you look at how this Red Sox team is constructed, I think this is what they had in mind. I think this is, especially once they missed out on Bregman, I think this is what Breslow had in mind for this lineup. We're going to pitch well. We're going to play pretty good defense. We're going to get guys on base. We're going to work guys in. They played a little small ball, especially in the 7th inning. They were aggressive on the base paths. And I think, you look at this lineup, you hope that Roman Anthony runs into 20. You hope Story can find a way to get 20. Duran, you're kind of hoping the power comes back. There's not a guy who you're circling saying, I think this guy's going to hit 35, 40 home runs, but there are enough guys here who you could realistically see hitting 20 where it will add up. And if you just pitch well and kind of just tack on runs when you can, I think that's the formula for this team, and it was on display today.
You can't go 162-0 if you don't go 1-0. And that is the case for our teams.
This is true.
If you haven't seen that Mike Francesa call, look it up. When 2 fans back-to-back call and say they think the Mets are going to go 162. Oh, we got idiots on the phone today, okay? Also, I'm going to give a shout-out to Casey Kantz, his Cleveland Guardians, 1-0.
Yeah, they closed it out.
Chase DeLauder, the rookie, with 2 home runs, and we were talking about, after Carson Bench had the homer, Kantz said it's going to be Benj and DeLauder. And
called it.
That's the case. So he's texting me right now. He's excited, so I want to give him a shout-out. Go Gardos. We'll be right back. All right, well, let's wrap things up here quickly with some. Everyone's got the eyes on the March Madness, right?
Sure.
Rightfully so. But a different NCAA tournament will be in town.
Yeah.
For Albany. MVP Arena hosting ice hockey regionals, and it's about as good of a regional as you can get. I mean, you get Michigan, the top team in the country. They're playing Bentley at Friday at 5:30. So if you're watching this, that game could be happening soon. If you're watching this on Friday. 9 o'clock, you have the best player in the nation, Gavin McNamara for Penn State, who is going to be the number 1 draft pick in the NHL draft.
Yeah.
They are playing Minnesota Duluth, and then those 2 teams could play if they both advance on Sunday.
Yeah.
So some really cool storylines to look out for, and one of those teams is going to the Frozen Four and very well could win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Union or RPI winning the ECAC and getting a bid to Albany, this is about as ideal of a situation as you could get when it comes to the NCAA regional. I mean, there's a ton for hockey fans to like. You got the number 1 team in the nation, the projected number 1 pick. I think it lines up, and they're also not playing each other in the first game, so there's a little something for everyone in each game. You know, Michigan's hungry. They missed the tournament last year after going to the Frozen Four. In years past, they're hungry to get back. I think, you know, Penn State, there's a lot of hype around this program with McKenna on the team. You know, I think it's a really exciting weekend. If you're a hockey fan, go down to MVP Arena and check it out.
And we got to real quickly give a shout out to the CBA boys basketball team. All of our teams, we had a ton of teams make it to the end. CBA was the one that was able to get over the hump. They won the Class AAA title and wrapped up a perfect
it was impressive.
25-0 season. They beat Fairport 78-67. So undefeated CBA state champs.
Congrats to the brothers.
Congrats to the brothers, and congrats to us for going 10 for 10.
There we go.
And congrats to you guys for being here with us to go 10 for 10. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.